Hey guys, Rolland here. I want to talk to you guys about a very important concept of power and where power comes from and where jurisdiction comes from. That means somebody else's power to tell you what to do, what you can and can't do. This is a very important subject and is a very important part of understanding the psychological operation that has been done on most of the Western world to get them to succumb to a surrogate power and allow a surrogate power to overrule their indigenous power. Okay? This is a very important subject. If you understand this, you'll be able to start backing more of your life, get out of fear and survival, get into thrival, and start to really live a really happy life, a sovereign life, where you're not dependent on other experts and systems, governments, corporations to tell you how to live your life or who you are. Indigenous power comes from source, comes from you're a human being and you come into this world and the government did not create you. Something created you. So let's call whatever the creator is, that's where your power comes from, and that's basically called indigenous power. That's your inalienable rights, God-given rights. Okay? So you get this indigenous power and you give authority surrogately to various different powers in your life. Okay? For example, when you go into when two men go, or a man and a woman, or two men or whomever partner up, two people go into a business partnership, they give their surrogate power to this union, this corporation, this business. If either one of those business people oversteps their boundaries and oversteps their surrogate powers and oversteps the boundaries of the other one, that's when surrogate power corrupts and you get unethical behavior. You see, the same thing happens with when parents send their children to school for education. They surrogately give their power up to an educational system to teach their kids. Again, when surrogate power does not represent the proper rights of the indigenous power that gave surrogate the power, you're going to get corruption. Same thing happens in government. We, indigenously, with our indigenous power as creators, we give our power surrogately to the government. And if they stop representing us, the indigenous power where they derive their power from, it's a scenario when the ant starts to take over the dog. The flea starts to try to rule the dog. This can happen through suppression of information, dishonesty, and force, law enforcement, more regulations, this kind of stuff. Silly laws like prohibition of marijuana, major silly laws where you can basically have so many different crimes against the state where there's actually no victim. There's no victim except the state. All these fines, penalties, all these tickets, there's nobody that had any harm done to them. So why do we charge these people money and put them in jail? Why? It's silly. So anyways, obviously the indigenous power that we gave surrogately to the government, they've overstepped their boundaries. They've stopped representing the indigenous powers' views and what they want. This is very obvious. Way out of control. So once you understand what indigenous power and surrogate power is, you realize the illusion that we've been basically lulled into and hypnotized over the last few hundred years as the corporations have infiltrated their way into our government and bought our government, and now it's a fascist system that's completely a false system, all propped up by debt, continuous debt, and it's a scenario where you cannot drink yourself sober. It just doesn't make sense. So what we're going to have to do is start taking back our local production, make local products, do local economics. We need to also lose the illusion that we need to have everything centrally controlled. Okay? If everything's centrally controlled, that's really easy for one group of people to control it. If your energy comes centrally from somewhere, like oil, if your food comes from somewhere, well, the beginning of food is the seeds, which Monsanto is trying to patent seeds, so nobody else can actually have those seeds. And if they find those seeds on farmers' properties, they go and they sue the farmers, and he gets put in jail, and they take his land. What the hell is that all about? Okay, so, we've got the food centrally controlled, we've and regulated by the FDA, and we've got energy centrally controlled. We've got transportation. I mean, transportation, there's monopolies there. I worked for GM. I saw it straight up. The water is centrally controlled to all the people, the water systems, fluoridated, chemicals, not good for you. Our education system is centrally controlled. All the propaganda, all the BS that you can learn, history in the grades 1 through 12 is the biggest propaganda system there is for one purpose, to create mindless people who don't critically think, little robots. And the ones that can think, they reward with careers and a lot of money, and they have to look the other way as they operate inefficient lives, inefficiently becoming doctors or lawyers or other crooks. Yeah, crooks. If you're a doctor and you actually practice medicine without any type of naturopathic dimension to your practice, you're a crook, peddling these prescription drugs that do more harm than good. There's so many remedies out there beyond the chemicals, okay? And if you're a lawyer, you understand the system, our judicial system. You very well understand all the illegalities of how our system works. You see, it's an admiralty system. It's all corporations. The United States is a corporation, and all the little subsidies are subcorporations, subsidiaries. So everything is centrally controlled, our government, our food, our water, our energy. So what we need to do, we need to decentralize that. We can produce our own energy locally, our own food locally, our own commerce locally. We have our own local currencies that we trade with other communities with their own local currencies. Very simple economically. We do not need a centrally controlled fiat dollar by the Federal Reserve, which is a private group of international banks. It's not federal at all. No federal. Not at all. The Constitution says the Congress should print the money without debt. Right now we pay interest to the Fed on everything that they print for the government. Another silly thing too. Yeah. So anyways, right now, right here, what you see behind me is we're clearing because we're going to show how people can do this. We're going to show how we're going to create our own sovereign, sustainable space of love. Exactly. Because when we start understanding and living from the heart, from love, being love in every moment, surrendering the ego, this mind, which is a tool of the heart, which should lead your life. This is what we're going to build up here. We're going to create our own energy from that beautiful sun up there. We're going to have our own greenhouse year-round using a southern-facing geodesic dome with big water tanks in it that holds the energy and keeps the temperature able to, around 65, 70 degrees throughout the winter. You'll see how we use the greenhouse. We'll be able to produce tomatoes all year round, lettuce, cucumbers, all the goodies. And basically up here we'll be able to provide our own, there's a stream just down in this valley over here, and that's going to provide the water. It's very good water. We're also going to structure the water with Vogel crystals. So we're going to create a small example of how we can truly live sustainably in harmony and symbiotically with the environment around us and with each other, and create a very good, abundant life. Now, one of the things that I'm working on right now is legalizing hemp. Yes, I am a medical marijuana patient in Washington State, and I am actually broke my neck and my back, and I do use medical marijuana to relieve some of the pain that I continually have, and it helps. And I'm also a very big advocate of legalizing hemp. Well, actually, hemp is legal, but usually the DEA still burns and cuts it down like a bunch of crooks that they are. Now, if we legalize hemp, for example, in the small rural communities, 1 acre of hemp You can grow it real close. The seed you get from 1 acre, you can use the seed to make biodiesel. 1,000 gallons off of 1 acre. You can use the stalks to make ethanol. This is huge. We can use the hemp to make milk locally. We can use the hemp to make paper that's stronger than wood paper. We can use hemp to make clothes. We can use hemp to make plastic resin. We can use hemp to make pretty much anything you want. Something called hempcrete. Hempcrete, which is 4 times stronger than concrete. I mean, do you understand why hemp's illegal? It's because it caused too much competition for DuPont. Too much competition for their chemicals. Too much competition for the pharmaceutical companies. Too much competition for the building companies. For Mr. Hearst, who owned all this tree land and had a bunch of big paper mills, well, hemp would have just put him right out of business because the decorticator came in. Look at Popular Mechanics. Decorticator, hemp. It would have put Mr. Hearst out of business. So, he invented reefer madness. And everybody was so scared that marijuana is going to make people go out and rape women. Oh my God. Yeah, silly. So now for the last 70, 80 years, there's been thousands of people put in jail for no reason. Yes, no reason whatsoever. And we've been denied the use of a product which should literally invigorate the local economies to an extreme degree. Give people something to do to create something, create a product. Right now, all creation of all products are overseas. It's silly. To have value in your life, you need to create something. That's what we're here for, to create an experience. We're not supposed to work 90 hours a week. No. Anyways, so there's just a few rants that I have. Basically, what our goal here is to be the change. Like Gandhi said, we want to show how people can live symbiotically in a very, very happy, thriving, abundant manner, creating healthy food, healthy water, healthy community, really healthy exchange and commerce locally. There's no need to ship things halfway around the world. It's unnecessary. And if we do that, we should be making our hydrogen energy using ocean thermal electric current, basically taking the water. You can go out a few hundred miles out off the coast and it's sovereign water. Basically, what this means is we can take a big floating raft boat that is able to pump water from 1,000 feet down. Why? Because it's 36 degrees. If you go down a little, you can do it off the coast of Washington, because it's going to be about 56 degrees, probably 50 degrees at the top. You get a change in temperature of 15 to 20 degrees, and what happens is you have a pipe full of gas, and you get that change in temperature to change one side of, we pump that water up that's cold, and you throttle that back and forth to the left and right side of this pipe that has gas in it, and it basically creates a pressure differential change in the gas, and it goes back and forth and spins a turbine. And this is continuous power. You can make electricity and split water out there into hydrogen, and then ship that in on barges that are also running on hydrogen, to run hydrogen on all these cars, all transportation. Then it wouldn't be a big deal to ship things around the world. But until that point, we don't need to. So, anyways, yeah, there's so many solutions to all these things. And I'm going to be letting you guys know about many of them and which ones we're doing here on the property. And so you guys can go ahead and experiment with your own. We've got a few aquaponic setups we're building right now, and we'll have those over here soon. So much love to you guys. Stay excited and stay happy. Your chin up and your shoulders back. And have a great weekend. Bye-bye.